Hi. I have the great privilege of creating plays for kids, a lot of times with kids, and then working in a professional theater company with actors and performing for kids. And the last play that we did, I was in the play. I'm usually in them when we first create them. And I had a wonderful time, and I had a wonderful time creating the play. But I ended up, one show I ended up throwing up outside the school before the show started. Another show, I fell off the stage. I tripped on one of the suitcases that was on there, and I fell off the stage and hurt my foot. And a couple other times I ended up with like sort of heat stroke where it was very hot in the school gyms, and I got sick and felt a headache and horrible. And I mean, to make the best of it, I did recover from all these things very rapidly. But
are you trying to teach people something? Do the plays have some moral or message that you're trying to impart to a resistant audience?
No. Well, maybe.
Do you care about...
There are times when I think somehow the reactions of the kids in the audience, but that doesn't seem to have affected...
Finish your sentence.
Okay. The reactions of the kids in the audience, sometimes they are completely 100% with us, and other times I feel like we are not connected with them. Like we're giving what we've got, and they're just kind of like not into it, and I don't think that's true in the end, because when you hear them talk later, that isn't actually the case. But when you're feeling them at the performance...
Well, you see, we're loving hearing this from you, because what you are helping us to say, this is something that almost all of our friends who are learning about emotions and about creating are dealing with at some point or other. And it's something that we're wanting to help you all get over. And that is, you get too invested in what somebody else thinks about what you're doing. Because when we said earlier, why do you do it? And you said for the fun of it. And we said, if that were true, if you were only doing it for the fun of it, if you're having fun, you wouldn't give a rip what anybody else thought about it. Have you ever told a joke that you thought was funny and nobody else thought was funny and you didn't care because you thought it was so funny? But when you're telling a joke because you want to make them laugh, not because you think it's funny, and they don't laugh, now, and this is what this entire gathering is about here. It's about getting in sync with your joy and following the trail of joy. Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss, and we have enhanced that a little bit by saying, follow your anger on your way to disgusting frustration, on your way to overwhelmment, on your way to bliss. In other words, there are many steps along the way to bliss, and you might not have perfect access to bliss, but as long as you're pointed in the right direction, eventually you got to get there.
Well, one of the things that's fun is when the kids are really laughing and paying attention and seem to be very excited about what's going on.
Well, what you're saying is, so let's say that you come to a presentation and it's early in the day while they are rested and their food content is high and their distraction has not kicked in yet, and you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and so are they, and you are the perfect presentation and they are the perfect audience, and you say, aren't we good? Mm-hmm. But you could take the similar group of kids right after they've been chewed out for not doing something right. In other words, there are all kinds of different things that leave people in different places. And this is why we're saying that when you care about how others are responding to you, you're like a cork on a raging sea. You can get pretty battered. But when you only care about how you feel, and how you feel is based upon you performing in the way that is pleasing to you, often we counsel artists, whether they are musicians, music, or whether it is someone sculpting something or painting something. And we say this to all of them. Offer your talent because it is pleasing to you, and trust law of attraction to bring the audience that matches it to you. Because if you try anything else, if you try to cater to what you think the audience wants, you'll be all over the place and you'll lose your center, you see. And so we think you're on the right track. If we were standing in your physical shoes, these are the reasons that we would be doing these plays. We would want an outlet for our own fun. And we would want an opportunity or a reason to get together with lots of kids who also want to have fun. And we would want to get together with lots of kids for the reason that we would like to watch for opportunities to play with them. And that would be about the end of our list. We wouldn't be trying to present morals that are guiding them. We wouldn't be trying to keep them out of trouble by keeping them busy doing stupid plays. In other words, it would be only for the joyous fun and frolicking of it. The other day, a couple of weeks after Easter, Jerry and Esther rendezvoused with children and grandchildren, and Jerry said, let's have an Easter egg hunt. And Esther's first thought was, Easter is past, and they may have already done that. And then, as she looked at Jerry, sort of like, why should we do that? Jerry said, don't you think it would be fun? Don't you think it would be fun to have a reason to get around a table and a reason to get paint all over us and a reason to be creative and a reason to play with each other and a reason to play in the bushes and a reason to stay there longer and a reason, in other words, just a reason like you don't really need a reason, but it's nice to have an organized reason to play together, to be spontaneous together, to discover together, to expand together, to love together, to appreciate together, to play together. In other words, these are the reasons that you get together, not towards some other end. It's just for the joy of it. And we think that it is a wonderful thing. We would like you all to engage in plays for no other reason than for the fun of it. Go to work and pretend you're in a play. And pick the part you want to play and play it all day long. Be the princess and watch what happens. In other words, practice the role of being the princess and then go to work thinking that you are. And watch how people cater to you a little bit, and people open doors for you, and people are nicer to you than usual. And when someone bows, then you know you really have it. In other words, be playful in your life. Let everything be like these plays. And when you find yourself throwing up,
Or falling off.
or falling off the stage, then stop and say, I'm trying too hard to get something out of this other than just a joyful moment.
I think that this is also part of it, but I'm also working with actors and musicians, professional adults as well. So I think part of me also gets hooked into that same, like, I'm supposed to inspire them to feel good when maybe the audience isn't so good too. So I
Well, you sort of get tapped out. That's what motivation is. Motivation is trying to make something out of nothing.
Okay.
Where inspiration is getting tuned in and then having the eternal stream, the stream that never ends. When you align with the resources of Source, then there's always enough. There are many who try to motivate from a place of not being connected, and it almost always falls short. But when you are in alignment, it never does, because there's always enough.
Okay.
So when you say you write plays for children, you mean to present to children.
Yeah, but a lot of times I work with kids. I take kids' writing and then turn it into a play that is then performed by professionals for kids.
And what is it that you hope that the children will glean from your performance?
Well, I want them to have an enjoyable time. I also want them to see that what they have to offer is awesome by putting it up on stage and glorifying it and taking their writing and their stories.
Do you think that you're getting it right? That's our question. In other words,
Yeah.
So you take what they say and you perform it, and they say, we're not having any of that.
Most of the time,
Here's our question.
Okay.
Do you think that you are able to accurately translate children through your adult vortex?
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you've learned everything that we want you to know. In other words, when you can begin approaching life in the simpler, easier, more connected place that children naturally are, that's everything that we would like you to hear from us. And maybe when they aren't having any of it, maybe something's happened and you're not translating it in the way you think you are.
I think I'm hooked up some because I think that I feel that for the most part my connection is good, but I'm kind of hooked up on that the other people I'm working with are not connecting. And so I think
But then when that happens to you, you're not. And that's what makes you sick.
because I'm observing them not being so.
And having a judgment about it, and then
Okay.
feeling the discomfort of that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
The desire is so strong that it'd be
Yeah.
otherwise, that when that happens, everything sort of goes berserk, because now all this effort was for nothing, because you are violating the reason that you were doing it to begin with in that moment. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Keep doing it and keep having fun and keep letting the children inspire you and keep letting adults reach for pleasing children, because the best way that an adult can ever reconnect is by trying to approach life as children approach life.